All right, so are you ready for this? We're going deep on the Bill Gates success story
Bill Gates.
today. And it's not just going to be about code and megabytes.
Yeah.
It's about ambition and risks and, even some controversy along the way.
Oh yeah, there's going to be some stuff that'll raise your eyebrows for sure.
So buckle up, everybody.
Yeah, buckle up.
What I think is so fascinating about this is how much Bill Gates' journey kind of mirrors the evolution of technology itself. It's like he was right there riding the wave,
Yeah, from the very beginning too. It's not like he jumped on later. He was there at the start.
Exactly. And thankfully, we've got a ton of sources here to help us unpack how that happened.
Oh yeah, we did our homework.
We've got some of Bill's own words from interviews,
Always good to hear it straight from the source.
of course, and then some really in-depth biographies that go, way beyond the headlines.
The deep cuts.
Yes. And I'm curious to get your take on this, some sources that are pretty critical of his impact.
Oh yeah, there are definitely some different perspectives out there on Bill Gates.
So this deep dive is going to be multi-dimensional, just like the man himself.
That's a good way to put it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now, everybody kind of knows the broad strokes, but even his early life has these hints of what was to come, like the whole programming prodigy at 13 thing.
Oh yeah, classic Bill Gates story.
But it's what he was programming that I think is really telling. It wasn't just games or messing around.
He was already thinking big even back then.
He was optimizing school schedules at 13. Who does that?
Well, I mean, someone who's already thinking about systems and efficiency.
Right, so that whole nerd in the basement stereotype.
Didn't quite fit.
Not at all. This was a kid applying his skills to real-world problems, even back then. Which actually, by the way, this is a great takeaway for anyone learning English.
Ooh, good point.
Don't just memorize words. Use them, to solve problems. Have fun with it.
Make it real. Make it relevant.
Exactly. Okay, so then there's the story of Trafo data
Ah, yes, the company he started with Paul Allen.
in high school. Can you imagine having that on your college application?
Talk about standing out from the crowd.
Right, and they were analyzing traffic patterns in the early 70s.
Cutting edge stuff back then.
And this wasn't just a hobby. This was a business,
A real company.
which meant they had to, negotiate, present their findings,
All in English, of course.
talk about a real-world English immersion experience, right?
Trial by fire.
And of course, there's the Harvard dropout story.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it.
It's like legendary at this point.
But one of the sources pointed out that this wasn't just a, blind leap of faith.
He had a plan.
Yeah, he'd already built a successful company. He knew his market was about to explode.
The personal computer market was just getting started.
And he even had a safety net if things went south.
So it wasn't just youthful recklessness.
Not at all. It was a calculated risk,
Mm.
which again, a good lesson for our English learners out there.
Yeah.
Thinking about risk versus reward, being able to articulate your reasoning in English.
Those are valuable skills in any field.
Okay, so we've got the setup right. Naturally gifted, ambitious, kid-supportive environment, real-world experience. And now things get really interesting. The rise of Microsoft.
This is where it all takes off.
I want you to explain MS-DOS to us, like her 5, but make it relevant to our English learners.
Okay, so imagine computers before Microsoft. Like big clunky machines.
Like taking up a whole room.
Yeah, mostly used by scientists and governments,
Top secret stuff.
Right, and then MS-DOS comes along. It was super basic by today's
I
standards,
think we wouldn't even recognize it.
but it was the bridge to personal computing. It was the language that allowed everyday people to interact with a computer.
So just like learning English opens up a world of communication.
MS-DOS opened up a world of possibilities for what computers could do.
I never thought about it that way.
It's all about access.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about what it enables.
Exactly. Like learning English gives you access to information opportunities. Suddenly, the computer wasn't this intimidating thing. It was a tool you could use.
That is such a good point. And that's where Bill's business sense comes in. Securing that deal with IBM to provide the operating system for their PCs.
A brilliant move.
A total masterstroke. Think about the vocabulary involved in a negotiation like that.
Oh yeah. Persuasion, compromise, technical specifications.
All in English.
Gotta be fluent to play at that level.
And that deal basically made Microsoft synonymous with computer for a whole generation.
For a lot of people, Microsoft was the computer.
But success on that scale, it doesn't come without some bumps in the road.
There's always going to be challenges.
So we have to talk about those antitrust lawsuits.
Oh yeah, those are a big deal.
What I found interesting was how the sources we have present different perspectives on, whether Microsoft's dominance was a good thing or a bad thing.
There are strong opinions on both sides.
Right. And it's important to be able to understand those different arguments.
To see the nuances, to analyze the language used.
Exactly. It's not about taking sides. It's about being informed.
And forming your own conclusions.
So we've got Bill Gates, the tech titan.
The mastermind.
Potentially even the villain in some people's eyes.
There's always that side of the story, too.
But then there's this fascinating shift. Bill Gates, the philanthropist.
A whole new chapter.
And this is where his story takes on a global dimension, with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
They're tackling some of the biggest problems facing humanity.
It's like the Avengers of philanthropy, right?
Except instead of fighting bad guys, they're fighting poverty and disease.
And the scale of their work is just mind-boggling. And think about all the English vocabulary you'd encounter just reading their reports.
It's like a crash course in global development.
Medical terminology, economic concepts, development strategies.
Yeah.
It's a language learning goldmine.
You could build a whole vocabulary list just from their annual letter.
It's true. And it's also a reminder that English fluency lets you join those conversations about global issues.
To understand different cultures and perspectives.
And it's not just about understanding, it's about action. Like the Giving Pledge.
Where billionaires promise to donate most of their wealth.
Whether you see it as true altruism or strategic image management, it's a fascinating topic.
And the language used to discuss philanthropy is complex and worth studying.
It really makes you think about wealth responsibility, the role of individuals in addressing global challenges, all topics that require a strong grasp of English to fully engage with.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got Bill Gates, the tech genius, the shrewd businessman, and now the global philanthropist. But what's amazing is that he's still evolving, still pushing boundaries.
The man never stops.
Like his current fascination with AI.
He thinks it's as big as the internet was.
He seems so genuinely excited about it in the interviews we read.
He sees the potential for AI to solve some really big problems.
And this is where the connection to our English learners becomes super direct.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
AI is changing the world at an incredible pace.
Faster than most people realize.
And understanding it, discussing it, even working in AI-related fields, it all requires a specialized vocabulary.
And fluency in English.
It's like a deep dive within a deep dive. Okay, so Bill's into AI, but he's also making some surprising investments. Nuclear fusion, for example.
Yeah, that's thinking big.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. What's fascinating to me is the long-term vision there.
He's not looking for quick wins. He's playing the long game.
Fusion power could solve the energy crisis, but it's decades away.
But if it works, it could change everything.
This shows a willingness to invest in ideas that might not pay off immediately.
But could have a huge impact on the future.
Kind of like learning English, right?
Exactly. It's an investment in your future. And the payoff might be years down the line, but it's worth it.
And then there's his work on combating malnutrition.
A problem that deserves way more attention.
It doesn't get the headlines that curing cancer does, but it affects millions of people.
Especially children.
And it's a problem where technology and innovation can make a real difference.
Bill Gates is all about finding those solutions.
He's researching the microbiome, developing new ways to deliver nutrients.
Even using AI to analyze data and predict food shortages.
It's another great example of how English fluency can be used for good.
Oh.
Imagine being part of a team developing life-saving solutions.
Collaborating with people from all over the world.
All thanks to your ability to communicate in English.
That's the power of language. It connects us. It allows us to share ideas and to solve problems together. And as we continue this deep dive into Bill Gates' story, we'll see just how much impact one person armed with knowledge and the ability to communicate can have on the world.
It's an inspiring thought.
It really is.
And it's a reminder that we all have the potential to make a difference.
No matter what our background or our goals are.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing your own boundaries.
And keep listening to EL Podcast Zone.
Absolutely. We'll be back soon with more fascinating deep dives.
Until then, keep those English skills sharp.
See you next time.
You know, it's incredible how Bill Gates' mind works. Even back in high school, he was already tackling these super complex problems, like that whole pancake sorting puzzle thing.
Oh yeah, we read about that. It sounds almost too quirky to be true. What was this pancake puzzle all about? And what does it tell us about young Bill?
Okay, so picture this. A stack of pancakes, all different sizes, right? And the challenge is to sort them from smallest to largest. But you can only flip sections of the stack.
So literally flipping them with a spatula.
Exactly. And it seems simple, but it's actually this classic algorithmic problem with implications for, like, logistics and manufacturing.
Wow, I would not have guessed that.
And get this, Bill not only solved it, but he actually came up with a more efficient method than what was known at the time.
No way.
It's a great anecdote for language learners, too. You know, imagine explaining this problem in English.
Oh, yeah.
You'd need to use comparative adjectives, sequential adverbs, maybe even some culinary terms.
That's a good point. So even as a teenager, Bill was already like optimizing systems, finding the most efficient solutions.
Yeah, he was always looking for ways to improve things.
It's like a preview of how he would later revolutionize personal computing.
Right. And that drive to improve things, it's a constant throughout his life. Like, take his fascination with India's digital public infrastructure, for example.
Ah, yes. He was raving about that in one of the interviews we have.
He was super impressed by how India uses technology to deliver government benefits, efficiently and effectively,
Yeah, he was particularly blown away by the Aadhaar system.
which provides a unique digital identity to over 1 billion Indians.
It's mind-boggling. He talked about how it's revolutionizing everything from agriculture to healthcare.
Imagine the vocabulary involved there: biometrics, data security, mobile payments.
It's a whole new lexicon.
It really is.
He described this incredible command center for agriculture in Odisha,
I've read about that.
with analysts using real-time data to advise farmers and prevent crop failures.
Huh.
It's amazing how technology is changing even the oldest profession in the world.
And English is the language that connects all of these innovations. Imagine trying to explain the intricacies of digital identity or the microbiome without a shared language.
It would be impossible. It really highlights how learning English isn't just about grammar and vocabulary. It's about gaining access to this global conversation about the future.
Exactly. So as we delve deeper into Bill Gates' story, let's keep in mind how language empowers us to understand and even contribute to these world-changing developments. Now, speaking of unexpected insights, I came across something rather amusing in the sources.
Oh, do tell. What could be more unexpected than nuclear fusion and digital agriculture?
Apparently, Bill Gates is a passionate pickleball player.
Pickleball? Really?
Yeah, he even called it his favorite pastime.
That's not what I was expecting. It's a sport I associate more with, well, retirement communities.
Right. You wouldn't think a tech mogul and global philanthropist would be spending his free time on a pickleball court.
It's kind of endearing, though.
It is. It humanizes him, It shows that even someone as accomplished as Bill Gates needs to unwind and have fun.
It also shows that learning English can open up doors to all sorts of unexpected hobbies and interests. Imagine discussing pickleball strategies with Bill Gates.
You'd need to know your serves and volleys.
Maybe even some trash talk.
Exactly. It's a reminder to be open to new experiences and to embrace the joy of learning, whether it's a new language or a new sport. But let's get back to the serious stuff. We were talking about artificial intelligence and Bill Gates' view that it's the most transformative technology of our lifetime.
Yeah, he seemed genuinely excited about it in the interviews we read.
He compared its potential impact to that of the microprocessor and the internet.
And it's not just hype. AI is already changing how we work, learn, and interact with the world. Think about all the vocabulary associated with AI algorithms, machine learning, neural networks.
It's a whole new language in itself.
He even said that AI could make white-collar type thinking essentially free. What did he mean by that?
He envisions a future where AI can perform those complex analysis and problem-solving tasks that currently require highly skilled professionals.
So making those capabilities accessible to a much wider range of people. That's incredible. But he also acknowledged the potential risks, right? Like job displacement and the possibility of AI becoming uncontrollable. It's a bit like that sci-fi movie we all know.
He's right to be cautious. We need to be aware of both the potential benefits and the potential pitfalls of AI. And to participate in that conversation to shape the future of AI in a responsible way, we need to be fluent in the language of technology and ethics.
It's like we need to be bilingual in both the language of the future and the language of human values.
I like that analogy.
And that's where resources like EL Podcast Zone come in. By helping people develop their English fluency, you're giving them the tools to navigate this complex and rapidly changing world.
It's an exciting and crucial role to play. But now, speaking of navigating a complex world, let's talk about Bill Gates' entrepreneurial journey and how even he's had his share of flops and failures.
Oh yeah, those infamous Microsoft blunders. Everyone remembers Windows Vista.
Vista was definitely a low point. It was plagued with bugs and performance issues. A stark reminder that even the biggest tech companies can stumble.
And then there was the Kin that smartphone aimed at teenagers that nobody wanted.
The kin.
I vaguely remember the marketing campaign. It was all about being cool and connected, but the phone itself was a dud.
It's a classic case of style over substance. They focused on the image instead of the functionality, and the market rejected it. It's a valuable lesson for anyone in business. You need more than just a good marketing strategy. You need a solid product that meets real needs.
And let's not forget, the Zune, Microsoft's answer to the iPod. What a flop that was.
The Zune is a fascinating example of how even a company with vast resources can fail to capture the market. It wasn't a bad product, but it lacked the iPod's sleek design and intuitive interface. Plus, Apple had already built this powerful ecosystem around iTunes and the App Store, which Microsoft couldn't match.
It's like they were always playing catch-up. And in the fast-paced world of technology, being a follower rarely leads to success.
It highlights the importance of innovation timing and understanding consumer desires. It's a reminder that even brilliant minds like Bill Gates make mistakes. What matters is how they learn from those mistakes and move forward. And Gates certainly didn't let those setbacks define him.
He kept pushing boundaries, experimenting, and ultimately using his wealth and influence to make a positive impact on the world. And he did it all while communicating in English, a language that allowed him to connect with people from all walks of life, from tech developers to global health experts to pickleball enthusiasts.
It's a testament to the power of language to bridge divides and drive progress. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's take a moment to reflect on Bill Gates' journey. It's a story of ambition, innovation, setbacks, and ultimately a deep desire to make a difference.
And for our English language learners out there, it's a reminder that fluency opens up a world of possibilities, allowing you to engage with complex ideas, participate in global conversations, and even, who knows, challenge Bill Gates to a pickleball match someday.
Now, wouldn't that be something? We'll be back soon with the final part of our Bill Gates deep dive. In the meantime, let us know in the comments which part of Bill Gates' story resonates with you the most. We're eager to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our Bill Gates deep dive. And it's amazing how much ground we've covered, from his early coding days all the way to his work on global health.
It's been quite a journey, and I think we have one more really fascinating chapter to explore, which is Bill Gates' evolving perspective on wealth and philanthropy. It's a topic that sparks a lot of debate, and the sources we have definitely reflect that.
Right. There are those who see it as genuine altruism, like a desire to give back and make a real difference. And then there are those who are more skeptical, viewing it as maybe a way to kind of reshape his public image after those antitrust lawsuits.
It's interesting because Gates himself has addressed this complexity. He's actually said that he doesn't believe he deserves his wealth and feels responsibility to use it wisely to address global inequality.
And he's putting his money where his mouth is.
Right.
Like, he's pledged to give away most of his fortune to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and leaving his children a relatively modest inheritance.
That decision alone has generated a lot of discussion. Some people praise him for his commitment to philanthropy, while others question whether it's appropriate for one individual to have so much influence over global health and development priorities.
It raises some really important questions about the role of philanthropy in a democratic society. Should billionaires have the power to decide which causes get funded and how those funds are used?
It's a complicated issue with no easy answers, but it's a conversation we need to have as wealth continues to concentrate in the hands of a few. And to even engage in that conversation effectively, you need to be comfortable with the vocabulary of economics, politics, and social justice.
It's another example of how English fluency really empowers you to participate in discussions about complex global challenges. Now, one thing that really struck me about Gates' philanthropy is his focus on issues that often get overlooked, like sanitation and malnutrition.
Yeah, it's definitely a departure from the more traditional approach of funding like high-profile causes like cancer research or the arts.
Right.
But as Gates argues, these less glamorous issues are fundamental to human potential and global development.
Yeah, he said that investing in basic sanitation and nutrition can create a ripple effect, leading to improvements in health education and economic outcomes.
It's all connected.
And he's particularly passionate about tackling malnutrition. He's talked about how it not only weakens children physically, but also impairs their cognitive development,
robbing them of their full potential.
I remember him describing the impact of anemia, a condition that often goes unnoticed, but has significant consequences, especially for pregnant women and children.
It's a silent epidemic.
It's a great example of how learning English can open your eyes to global health issues that you might not have even been aware of before.
It expands your understanding of the world.
And Gates' approach to these issues is fascinating. He's diving deep into the science, researching the microbiome and developing new ways to deliver nutrients more effectively.
He's bringing that same analytical problem-solving mind that built Microsoft to tackling some of the world's most persistent challenges.
And it's all happening within this global network of researchers, policymakers, and healthcare workers, all connected by a shared language, English.
It really underscores how crucial English fluency is for anyone who wants to be involved in solving global problems, whether it's through technology, healthcare, or philanthropy.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Bill Gates' life and work, it's clear that he's a complex and multifaceted figure. He's a brilliant technologist, a shrewd businessman, and now a passionate humanitarian.
He's made mistakes, he's faced criticism, and he's evolved over time. But one thing that really shines through is his unwavering belief in the power of innovation and human ingenuity to solve the world's toughest problems.
And that's a message worth carrying with us no matter what our goals are. Whether you're learning English to advance your career, connect with people from other cultures, or contribute to a better world, remember that language is a powerful tool for making a difference.
We hope this deep dive has inspired you to keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing your own boundaries. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure. And all our listeners out there, keep those English skills sharp, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.